All right, we're back and we'll finish up the dental payment application. So at this point, we have everything working in the sense that we can run this app. Again, we're running it from the main method in this main class here, the driver. If we run it, here it is. We have cleaning, that's $100, cavities 300, x-rays 500. I have a button here to calculate, and we're going to go ahead now and do all the actions, put it all together, finish it up, watch it run, and then I'm going to show you a little bit of the checkbox code and how we can also include these in our calculations as well. So let's get ready to build. Payment, dental payment. I'm going to go ahead now and add my action. So I'm going to find the button. Let's find him right here. I'm going to go ahead and add the action. Add the action listener. And I'm going to say this dot, and I'm going to create the action listener that we have down there. And then all we got to do now is create the code for that, and we will be done. So let's go ahead and find that. Scrolling down, looking for my action. Here it is. This is my action right here. Here it is. Right here. All right, so I'm going to leave this message because it's pretty generic message that works. Enter the right values and we're going to get this to work. Now, inside my try, that's where all my code is going to go. So go ahead and find your try and let's go. First, let's get the patient name, right? We got to make sure we got the patient name, whoever it is that is doing up this dentist form. So I'm going to look for my patient name. I'm looking because I can't remember all the names of my variables. So I'm going to use the code completion to help me. Here it is. Dot get me a text. Of course. Get me what the person typed in as the patient name. Now here we go. If the patient name dot equals, so not patient pain, patient name, dot equals. So I'm going to look for the equals. I like to finish off things with my code completion handle. If nothing is there, well, I'm going to write the not. I'm going to write the not for this, okay? What am I saying? I'm saying if it's not empty, okay, if the person actually writing a name, I'm going to do some stuff. Otherwise, I'm going to make an error here. So look what I'm going to do here. I'm going to say this dot display. See, when you write good code, you can always reuse it. See, what message do you want and what's the title? Well, I'm going to say it's an error. And I am going to get a message here. Then this message is going to be, please enter a patient name. Now look carefully here because I have a message that's more generic if nothing works in the try, but I have a specific error message that says, well, you didn't put your name in. Okay? So let's go ahead now and just watch that work. Save. Run. All right, so here it is. Well, you see, very specific to the name here. So I want to make sure you put a name in before you move on. Okay. What we're going to do now is, because that error message is working, we need a name. So we're going to write our code inside this if statement. Let me undo that. This if statement is where we're going to do all our work, because if the person did type in a name, what do you want to do? Well, a couple of things I want to do. First, let me make a decimal format. At this point, you should know the name is dollars, because that's what we're working with. A new decimal format. I just made an object, and it's going to format it like money. Of course, red line means you need to import it. Let's do that. Put your mouse on top. See if I'm going to get this thing to pop up. I like my completion stuff here. So import that. All right, so I could format my money. So I need to make a total, because depending on what the person wants to do, I need to figure out, this is going to hold all my money. So it depends if they want to do a cleaning or they want to do a cleaning and a cavity fill or whatever it is. I could add them all up. So first I'm going to do them. I'm going to say if this dot. So now I want to do a checkbox. So I'm going to look for the checkbox. Let's go with the cleaning one first. If the cleaning guy dot is selected, then my total is going to go up. Well, a cleaning I think is for $100. Well, let's go ahead and check these things because we're going to figure out if we are right here. Let's see. A cleaning is 100. The cavity is 300 and X-ray is 500. All right, this is called hard coding, and we'll talk about this later in the course. So now it's not a big deal. I'm just going to say it's 100, and the reason why it's a deal, something that we want to think about, is because what if the dentist office changed the price, right? We want to make sure we can change the price without coming back into the code. But for now, this is fine. I'm stacking these if, no nesting, so no else if. Now I want to do another checkbox. Let's see, I'm looking for the cavity filling checkbox. If that one is selected, and at this point I hope you could finish this, total is going to be plus equals 300. And if we're stacking, now we're going for the X-ray checkbox. Now we're just writing check, and then I'm looking for it. Checkbox for the X-ray dot is selected. If that is true, then the total is going to be added on. 500 for that one. And then at the end, I want to actually put this stuff inside of my totals field. So I want to do the total. So I'm looking for the field for total. I'm going to set your tax. And I'm going to set it to dollars. Format my total. So right now, I'm going to run this and type it up. I shouldn't say type it. I'm going to run this and type in the name correctly and use it correctly and see it working, and then I'm going to come back and show some issues here or there. Now to run it, you should go to the main. If the main was the last one you run, you don't necessarily have to go there, but make it a habit to go where the app is being driven. Here we got it. So I'm going to say I'm going to dentist and I want to do a cleaning. So what's my total? See, it's 100. Ooh, my box is a little too small. I need to open up that box. A little too small. Don't see my dollar sign. Not nice. Okay, so let's do that. Back to my dental payment. Let me fix my totals field. And a little too small. A little bit. So let's open it up a little bit more. So it's 56. Let's go to maybe 80. 80 pixels. See, since I run the main the last time, if I run it again, it would run the main again. So let me run it. There we have it again. So I'm going to the dentist and I'm getting a cleaning, which is $100. So my total is $100. A little better. You might say it's a little too close to the edge here, but not a big deal for me right now. Okay. What if I did a cavity as well? I got a cavity that I have to fix. Calculate again. All right, there's a little error here. If I click on the X-ray, the price shouldn't be $400. It should be $900. But the person has to remember to click the calculate. It's a subtle bug. What if I take off this now? It looks like these two are 900, right? So this is a subtle bug. And we got to fix that. We got to fix that bug. And how am I going to fix it? Well, there are two ways. The way before we would fix this is if you click on this, we'll clear out the total so that you know you didn't calculate, so you have to click it again. But I'm going to show you a new way. And the new way is I'm going to use these. I'm going to use these to do the total. I'm going to use these to do the total. So let's check that out. I use these to do the total. Well, this calculation action is tied to the calculate button. How about if I tie this to the checkboxes? Let's try that. Let me go up and simply find my checkbox. Here's one, cleaning. Then we have the cavity one. And then we have the X-ray one. So X-ray cavity cleaning checkboxes. Look carefully here. I'm going to add the action listener. And I'm going to say this dot create. See, what this means is once the person clicks on the checkbox, it's going to run the action. Well, let's go down here and let's get the other checkbox. And I'm going to add the action listener to that one again. And then I'm going to say, hey, create the guy who is the action here. Okay. So far, so good. One more, X-ray. Let me just copy this. Just change the thing to X-ray. So I'm going to take the X-ray guy and put it here. Now, everybody has the action. How would that work? Well, let's try it. Okay, so I'm going to write my name in. I'm going to the dentist. Look at that. Don't need the button. See, I clicked on cleaning. It says it's $100. What about if I click on cavity? Oh, look at that. Adds it up. 1 plus 3, 4. Wait a minute. Whoa, that's very good. 1 plus 3 plus 5, $900 on the dentist visit here. What if I take off the X-ray? Oh, very nice. Very nice. Now at this point, you should say, wait a minute. We don't need this button. You are correct. Because if I click here, it's $500. If I say I want an X-ray and a cleaning, $600. Want cavity, no X-ray, no cleaning. And we can click these things however we want, and we don't need the button. Now, let's look at mistakes. What if there was no name in here? Oh, it does show the error, but it still has it clicked. And there is no $100. Ooh, bug. Let's fix it. Have a name. Let's go down to our action and let's see how this thing is behaving. And we'll make the fix. So if you don't have a name selected, it goes to this error, which is what we saw. However, when it goes to this error, it did not do the calculation, which does make sense. Okay? So what we should do then is we should not allow the checkbox to be checked. So how do we do that? Well, we just say, hey, this checkbox dot set you selected to false. Unselect it. Let's go ahead and copy this. I gotta do it 3 times, right? I gotta do it not just for the cleaning, but for the cavity one. Then I gotta do it for the X-ray one. Well, let's check this out now. All right. Hey, you need a name. Okay. Not selected. No total yet. Total's blank. Hey, you need a name. Not selected yet. No total. Hey, you need a name. See? Put a name in now. Perfect. Works like a charm. Now, you might say, well, this button is pointless. And I do agree. It's pointless, but it's still another way to do it. So we have 2 ways right now. Right now, we're focusing on this way, like I said at the beginning. I'm going to show you how to use these to do what the button is doing. Simply attach the action to this. These guys listen. They obey the action. They do exactly what the action says. Pointless button at the bottom, but we'll leave it. We won't take it out. So I'll show you 2 ways. You know, you could use these 2 ways however you want to use them when you're writing apps in the future. So now, here's the last piece before we wrap it up. I don't like things that are repeated, okay, to be written like this. Our next unit, we're going to talk about methods. And I know we've been writing methods and they'll always have to write a method, but we're going to go deeper. One of the things you got to realize is that this is really a method that's being called 3 times. So in essence, we're calling this method 3 times, and we are literally having these 3 checkboxes turn their selection off. Now, we should take this method, or these 3 lines of code, and make a method with it. We could make it with the exact statements that are here, or we could make it a different way in terms of taking in a parameter and then doing that. I'm going to write it as if all 3 of these are going to happen. So private, no return type, clear all checkboxes. I'm not going to take in a parameter. I'm just going to take the code that's here, cut it out from there, put that code in here, and call this method in here. In essence then, I've replaced all 3 of these with this and call, and this method is doing the same thing. Now you may say, well, that's not a big deal. But as we go forward, we will see it is a big deal. And it is a big deal because when you write a method, you should write it once and reuse it many times. So if in this app we had any other reason to clear all the checkboxes, we just need to write this. See, we write it once here. And any other place, like if we come up with a whole different design where the checkbox needs to be cleared for another reason, or many other reasons, maybe 3 or 4 reasons, you will just simply call this in that spot in your code where the checkboxes need to be cleared. So let's go ahead and run this. Here we go. I'm at the dentist. I want a cavity. Nice, nice, nice. Calculation will do the same thing. Let me clear out my name. You might say, wait a minute. You just said you want a thing. We could write an action listener on this or a key listener on this as well to make these things go away. That's another reason why we could call this method. So let's say we write a key listener on this. I'm not going to do this right now, but if we write a key listener on this field and we listen for the change in the key, we could clear these. We'll call that. Clear the total. We could make another method for that. So you see, methods are good in that we can write them once, use them over and over. And obviously you could tell that this is working. I'm not going to go ahead and add that extra step to put the key listener on that. We've seen that many times. You could probably go ahead and do this after. But for right now, we see 2 ways. Let's recap. Dental permit. Dental payment. We're writing the class. Dental payment. We get all the things we need. We have a constructor who all his job is to create what we see. We set up everything. Borrowed the code from the mortgage calculator. See, write methods properly. You only have to write them once, and we use them over and over and over again. The checkbox wasn't set up, but now that we have it, if an app comes up that needs one, we come back to this, we grab this method, use it again. And same is true for the window. Display error message. We could use this from now going on forward. Every time we have an error message to be displayed, we could use this method. Same is true for all the calculations. We've seen it work. We've seen it work 2 ways. That is the end of Unit 6.